Hello art friends! Today's video is all about painting warm-ups. As our body needs a warm-up before starting a whole body exercise routine, the same applies to painting. Before starting a bigger piece, more complex painting, we need to warm up our hands, our movement, brush strokes, so your painting will benefit if you do some of the followings. And in this video I will show you 10 warm-ups. You don't need to do all of them, but some will definitely help you. Let's go! Do your hands get tired pretty quickly while you are painting? Reason for that can be a lack of warm-ups. Before each painting session, do some hand exercises like stretching hands, moving fingers, and circular movements for your wrists. After these exercises, you are ready to get painting. If you had a longer break from painting or feeling stressed out about your current painting, you should try simple watercolor doodles. Begin by letting a pencil go in any direction you want, but let it end up where you started. You can do simple doodle or more complex with many sections. It is up to you. Also, before starting, you can set a goal about what this doodle will be. It can be about smooth watercolor layers or getting precision with outer edges, so that these doodles are not just a stress relief, but also a learning practice. Sphere is a three-dimensional geometric shape, and it is a fundamental shape in art. Many artists use sphere as a starting point for the drawings or paintings, as it can be used to represent a variety of forms such as apples, berries, flowers, buds, petals, and leaves. Applying water to my sphere just enough for watercolors to be moved. You can use any color you want. In my case, I'm using a color palette which was left from some older painting. I don't wash my color palettes, so maybe for some practice I can still use these watercolors. Time to time I come back to the basics to get better and faster at painting or drawing realistic forms. Cylinder form subjects are one of the most neglected areas in painting. Stems. Draw thicker or thinner cylinder and use watercolors to make it look round and three-dimensional. So often I see beautifully painted flower head or leaves and completely neglecting stem area. Basic form for stem is a cylinder. Each cylinder has light area, halftones, shadow area, and reflected light area. It is important to pay as much attention you pay for the flower, the same amount of attention put in the work for painting stems. Brushstroke warm-up can be done almost every day before any painting. Use any watercolor mixes that are left from some previous paintings. Just do this practice. Different directions, different thickness of brush strokes, longer, shorter, more rounder. I have a longer video for brushstroke practice that will definitely help you. Do you struggle with watercolor mixes? The color wheel is a fundamental tool for artists. It is a visual representation of the colors and relationships between them. Practicing with the color wheel can help artists develop a stronger sense of color, temperature, and value. Also the basics of color mixing. Start with primary colors: red, blue, and yellow. For my color wheel, I use Sennelier red, ultramarine blue, and lemon yellow. Mix watercolors, experiment, and see how many color varieties can be mixed from only 3 pigments. For mixing secondary watercolor mixes, I use an equal amount of primary colors. In this case, equal amount of lemon yellow with the equal amount of ultramarine blue. The same goes for the violet and for the orange secondary color. For the next color wheel, you can use slightly different primary colors that you have in your color box, or use yellow, pink, and violet. See which color tones you can get. Understanding watercolor mixes only comes from practice. There are no magic tricks or shortcuts for mastering the skill. Making color wheels can be as an individual form of art. Take a look online, how other artists are being creative in making color wheels. If you don't feel like painting something specific or are a bit tired of a bigger composition, color wheels can be very easy, stress-free, and helpful practice. Do you know that getting realistic form on the paper is not about color, texture, or form of the subject? It is about tonal values of the subject. The more tonal values you will show in your painting, the more realistic it will look. In this practice with one pigment, ultramarine blue, I will show 7 different tonal values, just pigment and water. From the darkest, more saturated square, I'm going 1 tonal value lighter. Adjust with water and pigment. Here I notice that I need more gradual transitions from the darkest to the next square. Adding another layer of ultramarine blue, and I'm making it a little bit darker. I also noticed on the lightest part, another lighter transition from white to blue is required, so I'm adding another layer of light blue. If you are like me, in love with the realistic painting, it is good time to time step away from realistic art and paint something easier with lesser amount of rules. Here I'm freehand drawing simple basic flowers using red, violet, only 1 pigment, and we'll do, you can also call these flower doodles with watercolors. No reference here. I'm not looking anywhere else, just color, brush, and these basic forms of flowers. If you had a longer break from painting, this is a nice way to start. Just doodle around without any stress. You can choose any color you like. Or maybe you are so frustrated from your current painting and don't feel that you are in some way succeeding or becoming better with realistic painting. Step back. Take a little step back for some very easy, stress-free painting. After this painting, you will notice that instantly maybe you became better, or even you feel greater confidence in painting something more complex. Speeding up the painting process, full tutorial is available on my Patreon. For this simple flower doodle, I'm still following some rules, like the flower that goes underneath the upper one, I'm applying more darker shadow area. Also, I'm applying some finer brushstroke because this flower doodle can be an amazing brushstroke practice. You can practice here how to stay inside your outlines. Don't go over the edges. Time limit exercise is a perfect way to deal with perfectionism. You can choose any pigment, any amount of time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it is up to you. For this video, I'm choosing 5 minutes, just to show you the technique. Of course, 5 minutes it's not enough. It is a super small amount of time, but still I got an amazing warm-up. When there is time limit, there is no room for perfectionism. You are completely taken over by the process. For watercolor mixes, I'm using red violet together with ultramarine blue, and I have my subject to compare with. And indigo with red violet. Setting time. Brushes and watercolor mixes are ready. And we can start. With this 5-minute limit, I'm concentrating more on achieving first layer for this pansy. Nothing too precise, nothing too detailed, just going free. I'm allowing myself to paint more looser and faster, not worried about mistakes, not worried about the outcome. Time is running out quickly, so I push myself a little bit faster. But again, no pressure here. I'm painting in my sketchbook. I'm not worried about the outcome, but I definitely am practicing seeing quicker some tonal values, detail, color tones, making faster decisions in painting process. That can only be beneficial if you are overworking or overthinking something. 5 minutes ran out fast, but I can continue anyway. These 5 minutes pushed me to be more faster in my painting process and also in my observation process. But it's not like any rule book. You can go on and continue. Recording pigments I was using for this pansy, and you can add some notes as this is a sketchbook. And for the final warm-up, we need to go outside. For this final practice, I need to choose 5 different nature subjects. It is spring and all plants are just waking up, but I can find 5 different pieces. It's so beautiful in spring when you see how nature is awaking. I have 5 different colors, 5 different nature subjects, flowers and leaves. For this practice, it is important to have real subjects so you can compare watercolor mixes that you are getting. This watercolor mixing practice or a warm-up is a great way to learn watercolor mixes or test new watercolor pigments that you just bought. I'm leaving a link to a longer version of this watercolor mixing practice, but also full tutorial is available on my Patreon. The more watercolor mixes you will do, the better you will start to see different color tones. I receive questions: how do I see all color tones and apply them to my paintings? And my reply is by practicing watercolor mixes. These color swatches are very useful. I really liked a few of these watercolor mixes and I'm recording them in my color swatches. Thank you for watching. Hope you find this video helpful, and if you really enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you and see you in my next tutorials. Bye bye!